Before we begin this video essay, I figured I'd do the popular thing of listing off my exact qualifications to talk about this kind of stuff, and thus why my opinion is the most valid. I like games. Games sure are good. I play them sometimes. And sometimes I play Ratchet and Clank, because man, are those games just a good time or what? Blending fun 3D platforming with satisfying shooty bang bang, and the best part being that each and every one of the different shooties does a completely different bang bang. Some of them don't even shooty or bang bang, but the ones that do and are plasma or ice-based will absolutely destroy the game's balance. And whereas one pistol-type weapon evolves into baby's first shotgun, the other fires projectiles that bounce all over the battlefield. Sound familiar? They're fun in a Florida man in a Walmart kinda way, which begs the question: why does the writing go as hard as it does? No, they're not high art by any means, but whereas these games could, and in some cases kinda did, sell really well based entirely on the fun moment-to-moment gameplay, it's also a series with a surprising number of deeply emotional scenes. There are plenty of these to go around. Ratchet returning to Clank to fix him up, Kit returning to fight alongside Rivet after the mother of all scoldings just a few minutes earlier in a perfect contrast to said ending from the first game. Hell, the entire ending cinematic of A Crack in Time, in which a story about always going for the win, even if it's going to corrupt your morality, somehow still ends up feeling like a loss because Clank, of all people in this franchise, is about to reach a logical endpoint for his character that involves the duo splitting up, only to realize that the win that's being handed to him isn't what he wants, and rejoin Ratchet at the last possible moment. You're now thinking about the ending of A Crack in Time, and you will take this crying sesh like the grown-up you are. And while all of these are pretty great, don't get me wrong, can it truly be called a perfect Ratchet cutscene if it doesn't involve at least a little humor? You know, the kind that was surgically injected into the franchise from... Okay, this is technically cutscene 2, but you get my point. In my opinion, no. In order for it to truly be a perfect Ratchet cutscene, it needs to be an emotional payoff, sure, but it needs to be funny too. And to me, there is one cutscene that stands slightly above the rest in terms of achieving that perfect blend. Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal is the third release in the series and marks the semi-official end of what's commonly referred to as the PS2 trilogy, because most people's equipment is too cheap beach and their tests not alpha enough to acknowledge that Deadlocked is too sick to just leave out of the discussion like that. In it, genius robot megalomaniac Dr. Nefarious swears revenge on the Solana galaxy by turning everyone into robots. He tries desperately to frame it as a revolution because robots are being suppressed, and there may be something to that because poor Dalek Rat sure does find herself in active hostile territory a lot, but mostly it's because he was bullied as a child and accidentally turned into a robot himself. That's the kind of zany universe this is, and I love it. The rest of the game from this point on consists mostly of first assembling the Avengers, is that still a relevant joke? Gathering intel on Nefarious's plan, and eventually blowing it up in his face. Right from the get-go, it's made explicitly clear that all of this, however capable Ratchet and Clank are at this point, hinges on one particular recruitment.
Only one man has ever faced him and survived. I've just received a top-secret report on that man's whereabouts. Here, take a look.
On tonight's episode of Nature's Mysteries, we examine the Florana tree beast. Deep in the dense growth of Florana's Jambu forest lives a mysterious creature. Or maybe he doesn't. It's one of Nature's Mysteries!
I seen him run right through our camping site. He was buck naked, screaming and holding a banana. Or maybe it weren't a banana. It could be.
One of Nature's Mysteries! Legend tells that this mysterious creature is actually one of the greatest superheroes who ever lived. Shamed by his recent past, he is now one of Nature's Mysteries! Tune in and find out the answers.
Something funny happens throughout the Ratchet and Clank trilogy, which is that it becomes increasingly evident that actually these two might have been the main characters of the first game, But the protagonist of the series is someone entirely else. Captain Qwark is an intergalactic superhero turned sellout scumbag, appearing in the first game as the secondary antagonist and the primary antagonist in the second. Starting out the series as the bumbling henchman of Chairman Drek, a character more obsessed with adding titles to his name than Glenn is to adding extra N's, first he tried sending our heroic duo to their doom via the medium of Bloggy and Snagglebeast, which they of course kill immediately. Then he tries taking them on in a space fight, but they shoot his ship down without much trouble. It's actually quite funny that, because in the very next level after this, you encounter him again, this time manning a wooden stand selling bogus products.
Captain Qwark!
Where?
Come on, Quark, I know it's you.
The name's Steve. Pleased to meet you.
Look, Steve, I need to know where Drek is before it's too late.
Did you say too late? Sir, it is never too late to acquire the latest in the long line of quality products from Gadgetron. I have for you, today only, the Gadgetron PDA.
Public display of affection?
No, personal delivery assistant. This device allows you to purchase ammunition wherever and whenever you want it.
Yeah? How do I know it works?
You can always trust Gadgetron quality, or my name's not Steve.
Come on, Quark's Mind Palace is a used car dealership. How can you not love this man? The developers clearly agree, because he returned for the second game after popular demand from inside the house. This time engineering a disaster for him to fix, so that he can endear himself to a whole new galaxy. Except, this is a Captain Quark scheme in a Ratchet Clank game. How well do you think this is going to go? This defeat, in classic video game form technically his third, is what truly breaks him, to the point of going native. Some might say, a little too native.
I thought we agreed to put that jungle business behind us. It was mating season. How could I have known she was your sister? How long have you two been standing there?
Too long.
And of course, this is the one person the plot to foil Nefarious entirely hinges upon. Because who do you think was the one to bully Nefarious? Who do you think accidentally turned him into a robot? The game's primary way of revealing this information is through the Quark Vid comics, which the game does hint at being mostly lies and deception, because, you know, in case you forgot, Quark is like that one time the bot declared themselves king of the land and everyone obeyed that because they happened to roll a nat 20. But considering that Nefarious acts like this whenever he's brought up...
Who is responsible for this outrage?
I believe it was a Captain Quark or something.
Oh, Janice, you'll always be the love of my life.
You really should have that looked at.
And the game only ever leans into, yeah, there could be at least some base truth to these. I mean, obviously they're very embellished, because leading the defense of Blackwater City from the women's restroom at Galaxy Burger is about the least Captain Quark thing No, wait, that's right, it's the most Captain Quark thing imaginable. I'll leave the sheer rate at which Quark goes cross-dressing for someone more qualified in closets and eggs to talk about. What I want to establish with this quite long sequence is that, after being exposed to his own propaganda, Quark is at least back to his celebrity superhero persona, and not exactly hiding his disdain for Ratchet and Clank.
First, Ratchet and Clank will descend to the sea floor and wade through a series of tunnels flooded with waist-high raw sewage.
What?
Please hold your questions until the end of the presentation.
First, I shall humbly step aside, allowing Ratchet to free fall down and take out the mortar launchers at the landing site. Once the mortars have been silenced, the dropship will make its descent. Next, Ratchet will take the assault vehicle from the dropship, make his way to the 4 plasma cannon turrets, and destroy them. Once the turrets have been knocked out, Ratchet will personally lead the assault on the main enemy base. All right, let's get to it! Yes, you there in the front.
Yeah, hi. I was just wondering, what are the rest of you gonna be doing while I'm down there getting blasted?
We'll be monitoring the situation closely from here. Actually, we'll be down at the lunch buffet on Deck 5. It's Meatloaf Day!
By which I obviously mean send them to do the suicide mission so he can swoop in and steal the interview afterwards. And yet, now that he's on the good team, his plans, drawn in crayon because of course they are, suddenly start to work out.
Well, team, I believe some congratulations are in order. After all, my plan worked even more perfectly than expected. Well?
Way to go, dude?
Don't mention it. I'm just doing my job.
Until, that is, he decides they're ready to take on Nefarious, who's made himself surprisingly easy to find. To the surprise of nobody, it's a fill in the blank.
Auto-destruct sequence initiated. Prepare to die.
Lawrence, teleport us out of here.
Of course, sir.
Lawrence? This isn't funny, Lawrence!
What are you waiting for? This ship could explode any second.
I think I spotted something important. I can't leave without it. I'll meet you back at the shuttle.
While Ratchet and Clank safely make it off the exploding ship, Quark doesn't. He's presumed dead.
The man was a hero, brave, honest, kind, and humble to the core.
What a load of bullshit.
And this directly sets up what we're really here for. A few levels later, it's discovered that Quark survived the ship crashing into the nearby planet, and with context from one of the vid comics, it's discovered that he has likely retreated to an old hideout of his, last used when he previously had a close encounter with Nefarious. This level is itself a surprisingly good dissertation of Quark as a character, from paying off a joke from the previous game,
The Long Ninjas.
to the Terminator-style robots created in his image, displaying just how self-centered he is. Even the return of the PDA he sold you in the first game. What we're here for, by means of how this format works, is the cutscene that happens when you reach the end.
Hey, little buddy, how'd you find me here?
We found your secret vid comic, Quark.
Oh, that. Well, I don't expect you to understand. You'll probably look at me and think, I'd give anything for a body like that. For just one drop of his raw animal magnetism, one iota of his impeccable...
Can we just skip to the end, please?
Let's see, where was I? Sexy, charming, brilliant, iron, hard, abs. Ah, yes, but despite my outward appearance of utter perfection, well,
Deep inside, you're a cowardly wuss?
No, not exactly. When I escaped from that star cruiser, cheating death by mere nanoseconds, I suddenly realized something very important. I could have died! Me, Captain Quark! Imagine an entire galaxy with no more me. And for what cause? So, a few trillion people get turned into robots. Who am I to say who should or shouldn't be turned into a robot?
You're pathetic, Quark. I can't believe I once looked up to you. Let's go, Clank.
The people of this galaxy need you, Quark. They believe in you. You can give them hope. You have a chance to redeem yourself and become the hero you have always wanted to be.
Pretty neat, right? Now please allow me to ruin it via the medium of overanalyzing. It's entirely on purpose that this cutscene shows Quark in his underwear, because this is the cutscene that gets right to the bottom of Quark's character. For as much as he wants to be seen as this perfect action man, deep down, he's a selfish coward. Nothing matters to him more than the perfect outward appearance. He's a man who's pretty much always had life turn out exactly as he wanted to, unless Ratchet, Clank, or Nefarious got involved. Ratchet immediately calls him out on this. Quark has had many a physical beatdown in these games. Heck, he took an extra one at the beginning of this one. But this is the first time he gets a mental one, and he takes it pretty hard. Whereas Ratchet has a more impulsive reaction to Quark's story, Clank, being Clank, always a bit more soft-spoken and knowing exactly what to say, realizes that he has the potential to flip the script on Quark. Clank realizes that maybe What he needs is just the right motivation.
The people of this galaxy need you, Quark. They believe in you. You can give them hope. You have a chance to redeem yourself and become the hero you have always wanted to be.
For Quark, who's just hit a new low, those words must sting. But Clank has a point. Despite his continued fumbles, Quark has successfully convinced the galaxy that he's the greatest superhero to have ever lived.
Let's just see what Captain Quark has to say about that, my good man. I don't see what's so funny. Captain Quark could dispatch you without even breaking a sweat.
The man, the myth, the legend, the loser. Captain Quark, once the idol of everyone in the galaxy.
Maybe he just needs to actually believe it himself. Clank seems to genuinely believe him, which in and of itself is paying off something from the very beginning of the first game. God damn it, this is so good, it makes me want to hire a writer. I mean, he could also be acting, but that's a slightly less poignant note. The little suggestive pan to his costume at the end is really just the tip of the paying things off iceberg that is this whole level. Wait, is that why this is a snow level? This is the cutscene that brings about the conclusion to Quark's character arc, as when he finally reappears, he's actually fighting alongside Ratchet and Clank to help defeat Nefarious, living up to the image he's built for himself. If there is one consistent theme throughout Ratchet and Clank, it's not that consumerism is bad or that you must be a chosen one to be worthy of the status of protagonist. Kinda weird that the future trilogy dipped into that for a bit, isn't it? It's that if you work together with people you truly trust, there's nothing you can't accomplish. It's that if you don't believe in yourself, find someone who does believe in you. How hard do you think I need to go on this before people start theorizing as to whether or not I wrote this script the day after I got laid off? Because I kinda did. Yeah, all of that. There are many good reasons why Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart leaned into things like self-doubt for its main theme. But a tiny little part of me believes that here in the 2020s, in a world obsessed with putting your best image out there for others to behold to the point where nations have started banning social media, it's a story that needed to be told. And so many of the points that game makes can trace their roots back to this one cutscene. Ratchet's pep talk with Captain Quantum, for instance, is effectively exactly the same as what Clank told Quark nearly 20 years earlier. A piece of character growth that feels especially earned when, but a level later, rivets falling out with Kit is a repeat of how Ratchet felt about Quark in this situation, showing simultaneously how much growing up our boys have already done and how much is still to come for the girls. God, I love it when I sound smart like that. The Ratchet and Clank trilogy really was lightning in a bottle. 3 highly successful and beloved titles in 3 consecutive years is frankly unheard of these days, in part thanks to increased focus on things like eliminating crunch and not having a generally shitty work environment, but also because of how games just keep on increasing in complexity and scope. But I don't want this video to end on a game development is too woke and that means I can't buy 15 new games every year note. And while companionship and trust are good notes to end on, I think there's an even better one. And it's based on what Clank said.
You have a chance to redeem yourself and become the hero you have always wanted to be.
If only you try is surprisingly potent. Because if you don't try new things, don't challenge yourself and your understandings, you do nothing but lock you inside yourself. And sure, sometimes you try something new and it's a spectacular failure. Hey, take it from me, most of the things I've done can be described as the Captain Quark scheme in a Ratchet and Clank game. How well do you think this is going to go? But every now and then, you might try something and it works. And let me tell you, when you find something that does work, it's all the sweeter for it.
that there's coffee brewing in the cafeteria? I'm very disappointed.